my everyday people, Dr. Riaad Moosa here with another fun, fact-filled episode of Under the Microscope, Democracy Edition, where we look at the state of affairs in South Africa. Today, we dissect state capture. Dun, dun, dun. And the number of ways it's affected us as a nation and the threats we face as a country. Now, first of all, what is state capture? What's the definition? A short definition reads, the capture of democratic political systems by private power networks for their own enrichment. That's the short definition. In South Africa's case, the private power network was headed up by then President Jacob Zuma and the corrupt Gupta family, businessmen AJ, Atul, and Rajesh Gupta. And I use the term a businessman very loosely, like a stool. Together with President Jacob Zuma, they designed a well-organized criminal program to capture our private and public sector institutions. Yay! The National Treasury, let's do that, let's capture that, the judiciary, the legislature, the media, and even, why don't you take civil society also? I'm sure this was on the menu. Yes, it was. It wasn't just plain old everyday corruption. This was a full-scale bloody assault on our young democracy, dude. Zuma and his cronies succeeded in capturing some of our institutions and they began to create what is called a shadow state. Ooh. Yes, people, a shadow state. Not a light and sparkly unicorn state. Yay, a shadow state. It's heavy. Like the dark side heavy. They may still have called it a democracy, but it would have been a democracy in name only. South Africa would have become an autocracy, where Zuma and the Guptas controlled every single SOE and used them to continue enriching themselves and their network of complicit cronies at the cost of South African citizens. That would have been wonderful. Hey. But as we know, the full-scale dark side didn't happen. And only just. Well, we were left in the dark with load shedding because of the capture of Eskom. But I'll get to that. There's a lot to get to. So let's go deeper into detail and learn how we can prevent this assault from happening again. To execute their plan of state capture, the Zuptas needed to appoint public officials open to bribery, open to corruption into positions of power, open to having their palms greased. They started with placing these SOBs in SOEs, otherwise known as state-owned enterprises. And the SOBs is, state-owned biatches. Yeah. Son of biatches. Okay, right. But first up, the Zuptas replaced the entire board of Eskom and put one Brian Molefe in charge. Recognize the name? Most likely you do. He's been in and out of court more than Harvey Specter, bruh. Brian Molefe, I plead not guilty. Yeah, right. Molefe and his newly Eskom-appointed cronies' first priority was not to keep the lights on, oh no, but to steal as much money for the Zuptas and themselves as possible. And it's easier to steal in the dark. Am I right? They crippled Eskom, and today many of Eskom's woes can be traced back to us being in the dark about state capture all those years ago. But they didn't just go after our electricity. Why would they do that? Hey? So much to go after. They also managed to capture our rail and port network through insider appointments like Anoj Singh and Transnet. The knock-on effect for business and economic development in South Africa has since been estimated at 41 billion. 41 billion rand, bruh. And it's still a long road to get Transnet back on track. And not satisfied with just capturing transport on the ground and the sea, the Zuptas looked to the skies and put Dudu Myeni in charge of our national carrier, South African Airways. Millions were then siphoned off from the embattled airline, and Dudu ran SAA into the ground, bruh, faster than you can say, this is your capture speaking. Like our other SOEs, Eskom and Transnet, South African Airways has never recovered. And we, the taxpayer, pay the price with constant bailouts, bruh. But I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm managing, I'm going for therapy. Now, while these SOBs plundered and pillaged the SOEs. Our State Department managed to keep the greedy goblins from the door thanks to the integrity of public officials like then Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene, who refused to join the Zupta kleptocracy. Yes, he may have fallen off the chairs, right? You remember that? He was like, whoa! But he stood up when it counted. And if he hadn't, the National Treasury would have become the Zupta's personal piggy bank, a never-ending feeding trough for the Zuptas and their cronies. Luckily, right, Nene was there. Nene! When Nene wouldn't go along with the Zupta plot, President Zuma promptly fired him and appointed the very well-known Des van Rooyen. Who's that, bro? He was some just arbitrary former mayor from the West Rand who knew as much about finance as Brian Molefe knew about electricity. Shockingly little. That's a pun. Shockingly little, if you didn't get that. And after Zuma replaced Nene with van Rooyen, what happened? There was our bloodbath on the markets. Oh, that was a wonderful time. The Public Investment Fund lost over 100 billion. Yay! The Government Employees Pension Fund lost 95 billion. The UIF lost 7 billion. That's so amazing. The Compensation Fund lost 3 billion, while other funds forebore 1.2 billion. That's a lot of fire pools. A lot of fire pools, people. And unsurprisingly, the international markets lost confidence in South Africa and the rand plummeted. Zuma's hand was forced. His hand was forced, and after only 4 days as finance minister, van Rooyen was moved to another portfolio. And former finance minister Pravin Gordhan was then reappointed, and South Africans breathed a collective sigh of relief. Pravin continued to be a thorn in Zuma's side over the years, standing up for an independent national treasury free from the self-interest of those in power. That's good. That's fantastic. The media, who clearly had not totally lost their sense of humor, dubbed the dud, van Rooyen, the weekend special. I'm your weekend special. Sorry, I apologize for that, okay? It wasn't just the Treasury that stood up against President Zuma. The judiciary he tried to capture ended up capturing him. Our then public protector, Thuli Madonsela, who was, in fact, appointed by him in 2009. She told him to speak to the hand. Speak to the hand. And then gave him a lekker PK. Or a Can you say Can you say? I don't know. Our independent media played a massive role. Thank you very much. Amabungani, Shadow World Investigation, The Mail and Guardian, and Open Secrets for writing your exposés and bring the shadow state into the light. Thank you for that. And then the banks. They closed down the Gupta's personal and corporate bank accounts, rendering them toothless. The banks made them blanks. They made them toothless. And I don't mean front 2 teeth missing toothless. I mean grandma with no that hectic toothless. The Gupta's home-based bank back in India, Bank of Baroda, also closed down their bank accounts under massive pressure. And with no bank accounts, the Guptas fled to Dubai. Bye, Felicia. Bye. Bye, Felicia. So well done, media. Well done, National Treasury. And well done, Judiciary. And well done to you, the South African citizens. The citizens of South Africa were active. You weren't passive, sitting on the sidelines. You became, I believe, the technical term is hatful, gatvol, G-A-T-V-O-L, and you took to the streets, exercising your democratic right to protest and call Zuma a thief, kicking off the Zuma Must Fall campaign. Zuma must fall. That saw him eventually resign. All right, thank you to everyone, including the grannies. The justice system is now taking its course. Zuma was sentenced to jail time. An Interpol red notice was issued for the Guptas to be extradited. Ace Magashule was removed as ANC Secretary General after he was charged with theft. Was it theft, fraud, corruption, money laundering? Not paying his TV license, I'm sure. I don't know if that's true, but it's almost guaranteed. Both Brian Molefe and Anoj Singh have been arrested. Dudu Myeni has pleaded guilty. The list goes on. So there is hope on the horizon, people. I know people are despondent, but there's hope. But is it too little, too late? It's estimated that we lost 1.5 trillion rand to these crooks between 2014 and 2019. Imagine how many houses, hospitals, schools, and the roads that money could have built. Imagine how many grants it could have paid out to the millions of South Africans who are living from hand to mouth every single day. Imagine, brah, 1.5 trillion, dude. Can't imagine that amount of money. It's impossible to comprehend how much money that is. Zuma definitely could not count that amount of money. While justice takes its course and South Africa tries its best to recover the money lost to state capture and invest it back into economic growth to get our country back on track, this near escape has shown us, people, that we do have a robust democratic culture and independent justice system. That's positive. And to keep it alive and keep it well, we have to stay engaged and active, and work together to demand accountability and support the rule of law. We have to do this. So on that note, my gorgeous guardians of democracy, now I don't know if you're all gorgeous, but I just believe you're gorgeous. Stand in front of the mirror, I'm hot. But stand up, speak up, protest peacefully, and vote. And support organizations and initiatives that protect our rights as citizens to participate in parliamentary processes and protect us against tax abuse. To find some of them, you can go to the links below, clickety-click. It's all below. I'm Dr. Riaad Moosa. I'll see you guys next time.